Audio included. Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2.
Yep, you sound good.
Perfect.
Actually, your audio might be a little bit on the lower side, so let me adjust that on my end. I'm just gonna adjust your slider on the Microsoft side.
Yeah, if I adjust my audio on my end, then we're gonna have some echoing.
Right, let's redo mic check, mic check.
Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2.
I had it muted, try it again.
Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Then.
Alright, definitely. Okay, that sounds way better.
Perfect.
Alright. Now we're good to go. And we're live. Hello everybody, I'm Fan243, joined alongside AKDJ 2006 for round 3 of the XRS playoffs, or race 13, here at Watkins Glen. It's a very fan favorite track amongst all drivers and people watching at home. So hopefully we can bring on a good show for you here today. Cars on track making their way around for qualifying. RZX U5A MVP currently holds the pole as of right now. And AK, couple big stories tonight, and pit road looking very similar for pit strategy as we've seen with a lot of races this season.
Yeah, for sure. There are a couple of big stories. Obviously, penalty situations. A couple of drivers got penalties from last week. I'll let you go more into depth on those, but as for the drivers that got those penalties, that'd be Vanquish, Back in Black, and Subsonic. I'm missing any, feel free to chime in, fan, but I don't believe I am. But as for stories, obviously, FM right now, on that cut line, we're getting close to that final race. Obviously, just 2 more weeks before that final race, and then we're in the final 4. So obviously, it is very much buckle down time for anyone who's not inside of that top 4. For anyone who is and on that cut line, that being Tomato, it is also go time for them to make sure that they can stay in that top 4.
Alright, after cars have now completed, for the most part, of their laps, currently on lap 3 or 4, I've ran through lap 3 or 4. Vanquish currently on pole with a 107.631. What he gets will not matter, as he is one of the drivers, as you said, penalized. So the other 2 drivers who received penalties, Back in Black, he's not here in the field, so obviously he's not going to serve his penalty. But the way that the penalties are written, they're written in a way that you must you must do the penalty when the next time you participate in your next event. So even though Back in Black's not here today, the next race that he participates in, he must serve that penalty. The penalty is 2 pass-through penalties must be served back-to-back. Pass-through drive-throughs. Typically in real life, that just means a pass-through is you literally go down pit road. You don't need to stop in your pit box. And then a drive-through penalty is you need to go down, but you need to drive into your pit box and then drive away as if you were making a pit stop. Here, you can't really just go through pit road and not pit in Forza. So it's just going down pit road. So right away, Vanquish will need to serve the 2 drive-throughs back-to-back. We must serve the 2 pass-throughs back-to-back. The second we come to green, and then the second he gets back around to pit road again. He will most definitely go at least 1 lap down, and by the end of it, he's probably going to be a lap and a half behind. So at the end of it, him being a lap and a half behind, and then he needs to make up that gap. Now, so far, he's setting the pole lap, so very fast, and it should help him catch back up to the field fairly quickly and nicely. Now the thing is, first caution of the race, he is not allowed to get the lap back. He's not allowed to get the lap back upon the first yellow. So, interesting things that will be happening tonight. With Vanquish serving his penalty, Europa being another driver in the field who is also pretty quick, but Europa is 3rd right now, MVP's in 2nd. then Tomato Drifts in 4th, and then RZXJJ Reds in 5th. The driver that we're going to be paying close attention to tonight is FME Sports, which currently shows that he is running in the 13th position in terms of time. So FM saying a little bit in the practice that he was practicing even more than he usually would for this race, trying to improve his time and trying to really try to cut down that gap as much as he can, because he self-admitted that road courses he hasn't been that strong this season, and Tomato, the guy that he needs to beat, has been very strong this season. So that, knowing that, how much can you really do as a driver? I'm going to go with you, AK, here. How much can you really do as a driver when you know the guy you have to beat is good at road courses, and we're at a road course this week?
I mean, it's pretty much what FM is doing, is just practicing, but also another thing you can do is find fast guys like MVP or Vanquish, and when they're practicing, or if you want to ask them if they want to practice, you follow and see what they're doing. You see when they're braking, you see when they're turning in, you're seeing how hard they're getting on the throttle. Every little thing you can pick up on could be another 10th, it could be another 1,000th, and that could be what the difference is between making the Final Four or not. A thousandth of a second on the last corner, on the last lap, and you just edge out one more car. That 1 point could be the difference between making this Final Four and not making it. We've seen it happen almost every season so far. So it really does come down to every single position from here on out. And it has been since the playoffs started.
Yep, sitting right now, we see that fast group of guys all being in the minute 7 bracket. So Vanquish, he got the pole time. He ran a 107.143. And then MVP was able to get second with a 107.717. Europa in third with a 107.734. And then Tomato Drifts with a 107.768. So you have those three drivers already in the 107.7 bracket by themselves. So could be really close competition up front, especially early on with Vanquish needing to serve that penalty. And then JJ Reds, not that far behind with a 107.8. So the road course ringers, they're out in full swing today. With the full field separation, though, there's going to be massive separations. I'm seeing a lot of minute 9s out of the more mid-pack drivers that we've seen, a couple minute 10s. And then aside from there, a handful of drivers outside the minute 10 brackets, being Ray's Peasant being one of them, Rough Rabbit being one of them as well. And then the slowest time on track so far is a minute 14.573, and that is from Subsonic. Subsonic, a driver who received the penalty last week, but his is just a points penalty. "54 laps, and that includes a pace lap to be ran to be here tonight. One-stop strategy, what we've seen a lot this season. And AK, what would you say is the actual pit window of when you can actually pit? Would you want a short pit, or tires are king?
What we're seeing, at least tire-wise, is that you're gonna, if you go, again, roughly in the middle, you can do it. Anywhere, you can't run this entire race. Anywhere from 40, or even 40 might be pushing it a lot. But I'd probably say about that 25-30 range is when we're going to see a lot of drivers coming in, and that would be their stop for the. You're going to want to try and cut it in half to give yourself as much time to catch up, especially if by some miracle that we don't get many cautions this race, only 1 or 2, and they come late or early, super early, then you're going to want to go about halfway, and if it's a green flag stop, then you're going to want to have as much time to recatch, maintain your position, or climb positions, so you're going to want to have as much time as possible. So I'm expecting about that 25 to 30 range for driving.
One thing that should be unique for tonight, that was a change that we made from last week, because I'm going to be very blunt, very honest. A lot of people at XRS, including management, were not happy with how the Road America race went. I know me and AK, me and you were sort of acting on stream when it was Vanquish battling with everybody side by side. We're saying, oh, it's the draft, heavy effect. In reality, no, that was more acting.
Yes.
We kind of knew that Vanquish was slowing down, and we're going to try and refrain from that. We will be more honest here on the broadcast. But on top of that, we would prefer the on-track action to be very different and of everybody involved. League owner, kart racer, he made a big announcement for everybody, and I will actually recite that announcement so then everybody's made clear and aware of what's going on. Let's go back to it real quick. Here's what's going on. Kart Racer goes, as everyone is aware, we are not happy with how Saturday's race went and how some have been acting. We are attempting to put a good image for ourselves out there, and so far, we haven't done that. I understand that not many of you have ran in esports level leagues, or have, and that's why you're here. But we are trying to achieve this goal of becoming a top tier league where we are respected and possibly looked up to. I know that we aren't there yet, but there will be big changes and expectations for all drivers and competitors. And then follows a list. 1. Accept new drivers that are faster than you. They show up to have fun too, and it helps to get the word out about us as a league. 2. We expect that you are able to race hard and clean. This means being aware of your surroundings and being courteous to your fellow competitors. 3. We expect that you can maturely handle problems that happen on track with an off-track conversation. For example, this could be in an Xbox party or a Discord DM. This does not mean wrecking others on track, yelling over the party, or making a huge scene in the Discord because they raced you dirty in that race. 4. We expect that as this league grows and progresses, and if you don't like what's happening or changing, instead of threatening to leave or cause a huge problem, you can talk to a staff member or owner and voice your concerns. If you can't handle what is happening and the changes to be made, then maybe this league is not for you. It is very childlike. And then 5, we expect you not only to behave in this league, but in other leagues, events that may affect what will happen to you in here. Everybody has an image. We've all raced around each other for a long enough time to know how fast and how other drivers can drive their cars. That being said, please, can we try to have more respect for each other, whether if you're a new driver, old driver, fast driver, slow driver, and race hard and have fun. So, very big words and statements coming from everybody, being able to move forward in what everybody wants. And AK, I know you being recently made moderator this season, you've gotten a little more behind the scenes of very much what we want to do and achieve. And definitely this could be a big turnaround and a big heads up to a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure, and I'm sure people will be definitely more watchful, more caring of how they drive this week, and I'm sure if they're not, I'm sure penalties will be coming out as they pretty sure this race will be pretty much a no-tolerance race compared to last week where we had a fair few incidences happen throughout the race, so I feel like it'll be a much more toned down compared to what was last week. At least that's what we hope for, of course.
Of course. Now, moving aside for a couple things, so we've already discussed penalties. We've discussed FM, him needing to have a really good race. We discussed a little bit on Subsonic's penalty. The fast guys, the road course ringers and everything, but also another thing happening this week that is very crucial. Now I'm going to scroll down on my screen all the way to this guy right here. Smiley is here. Now, if you've been watching all the XRS races, you might go, wait a minute. That does not look like Smiley's car. Because it is not. Smiley is in Smokey's car. Reason being is because for the first time ever in XRS, we are allowing a substitute driver. Typically, substitutes have not been allowed in XRS. Substitutes have not been allowed. And this time, we have decided to allow a substitute. And it's more on the experimental side of us wanting to move away from the other option, which is delaying events. The reason why we run into this issue is because we have a playoff system. We have a system to where we have 8 or 9 drivers that are fully focused and fully committed to running in and out, but we all get it. Life can happen. Anything real life comes first before anything on your console, your game, anything involving your gaming life. Anything in real life comes first. And so we get it. You can miss events. Now, with that commitment that drivers are making, that they have set a time aside and go into race, it is not necessarily fair that due to something out of their control, they cannot race, even though they could have. So, usually in the past, we have simply delayed the race entirely, whether it be by a few hours or it being an entire week. We have delayed races. And we definitely want to create alternative solutions. We want to create alternative solutions so then, for the sake of everybody on board, because if we needed to delay this race, this would have affected 22 other drivers. I know we had some people that just left. Hopefully they will be joining back. But for this race, either way, it would have affected 20 plus other drivers because one driver couldn't show up. And that's what we want to avoid for future reference. AK, I know you were a part of that vote on whether if we wanted to do it or not. Would you like to give any insight on us allowing substitutes for the first time as cars get ready to launch?
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously, the first thing that comes to mind is that when you substitute a driver, what is there driver that originally was supposed to race, is he gaining anything or losing? Well, no, because we changed that to make it so that similar guys in skill level can only substitute for similar guys in skill level. So let's say, for example, we have a car who places 22nd consistently or 20th consistently. He's not going to be replaced by a guy who's consistently getting top 5s and top 10s because there's a difference in skill level. We weigh that out by the guy's consistently placing 15th, 20th. Then you'll be replaced by a guy who's placing 15th, 20th. Just to make sure that the driver who's having to substitute isn't getting anything, but he can still get the points as if we were to postpone races, that another playoff driver could make it. And then we're back to square one. So this just makes a lot more sense to just give a sub that is roughly on the same skill level. Maybe that substitute driver has a great race. Okay, so be it, right? But at least gives the driver who's going to miss the race a chance to gain some points so that they don't drop out of the playoffs or have to miss the final rounder, right? It gives the driver a fair opportunity. There's nothing being gained, there's nothing being lost.
As cars that have made their way onto the backstretch, we're going to ride along with MVP because Vanquish, he was going to pull off into pit road right away. The first 5 laps of this race has a new rule being implemented for every race moving forward based off the actions from Road America last week. The first 5 laps of every race will be caution-free. So just like how the final few laps are caution-free, here the first 5 laps will also be caution-free as well. Even if an incident happens, then, well, you're SOL. If an incident happens. So that is the only unfortunate part of us having these cutoffs and interval systems once they are actually implemented. But it is a part of what we're doing, and it is a part of rules. So So here, MVP is going to lead the field to green. Coming off the final corner. MVP will have control from the start of the barrels to the start line. There we go. He goes at the last second. Green flag at Watkins, Glen.
Went off there at the end. Oh, somebody had to go wide, and they had to contact behind them. But they kept it straight, so obviously everyone's going to continue going.
A lot of cars running wide here all the way back for around the 10th position. Panda were riding along with a 9th. 3 wide, and Panda around in the S's on the top of the hill.
And the track's blocked.
3, 4 other cars are involved as well. Massive wreck right at the top of the S's. And no caution will be called for that.
That all started when Panda had to check up, I believe, for FM, who had hit the wall.
Another car spinning at the bus stop. Couldn't quite see who that was.
Seems they've saved it, whoever it was, because I'm riding along with Hawk currently, and I don't see a car around anywhere near it. So, car almost around. But that first incident looked like it appeared to be after Panda checked up for FM. Hawk had nowhere to go, went to the outside, and Panda just happened to be there, and Panda was already losing control.
Smiley almost got into a 3 wide situation, pitting right away. And pitting right away. We had one incident at the start of lap 1. It was all the way at the top of the hill. Cars running wide, getting into 3 wide situations. Not able to get themselves out of it.
Somehow, FM being pretty much in the middle of that, he has no damage. So, might have got off a little lucky.
Whoa! Sly and RZX Gamic got that with each other. Right at the exit of the bus stop, Sly is able to hang on to it through the carousel.
Oh!
Really wide.
Crazy Fools gets tapped, almost goes into the tire wall at the bus stop. He got tapped from behind under braking. Able to slow it down in time, though.
I believe that was Cam again who went really wide right at the exit of the carousel. That's not technically off track or anything like that, because we do allow that runoff. And we do allow the runoff here in turn 1, but it looks like a lot of drivers not necessarily trying to use that. And Vanquish, you saw him for a fraction of a second on your screen. He was serving the second pass-through. As the first one, he already served at the beginning. And then we'll do the time behind the leader just to see if Vanquish is indeed more than a lap down or not. I believe he should only be about a lap and a half behind the leaders. Yep. Showing 1 lap down at the moment.
Yeah, 1 lap down. So he was lucky not to go more than what he is. Obviously, 1 lap down is still a lot to come by, especially in not being able to get that lucky dog on the first caution that comes out. So he's got a lot of work cut out for him, and if another caution doesn't come out.
Jackson into the wall on the final corner. Him and RZX Cam are racing really hard side by side with each other. Jackson making his first XRS start, now side by side with Sly.
Yeah, just not a lot of room to give him my hand there, but obviously it is racing, and obviously it is playoff racing at that. So like we've said at the top, every point does matter as Cam hits the wall. We have the second corner there, sorry, the third corner.
Now, for the most part, and what we were hearing for some drivers, the way that you should be running this track is fairly simple. But with guys being so used to running the Cup car here, this is a road course that you feel really comfortable in the Cup car. Maybe not as much comfortable in a Cougar.
Yeah, I find the Cougar on this track, because I did run a couple of laps, was understeering a lot more when you were on the accelerator than the Cup car would. So you can at some points push this car more than you can the Cup car, but at some points like the carousel, where you have to be sort of just ever so slightly on the throttle to make sure that you're not going super wide through the carousel, you maybe can't push it quite as much.
See that whole line of cars right behind Jackson. Dawson leading that chain of guys. It's Dawson, Hawk making another start tonight. We thought he was done for the season. Coulter, and then there's Vanquish. He's a lap down currently. All of them were kind of using that runoff. Coulter almost got really deep into the brakes. Almost missed the first part of the carousel. Dawson, he's also going to miss the exit and spins out right before the carousel. Right on the middle of the track. Rough Rabbit gets into him.
Oh, yep. More cars coming, having to quickly brake or dodge.
Yeah, really in a bad position because the couple guys who were running wide in that area, Dawson was right there, and Rabbit, he was one of the drivers that hit him.
And super unfortunate for Dawson. Just not even the start of that wreck. We don't know where he ended up.
But it looks like the contact wasn't heavy enough for Rabbit to gain damage from that. In fact, actually, no, he does have damage, but it's cosmetic. It's more cosmetic damage than anything, but he does have a front right brake rotor affected. So that should very much affect him on his right-handers. There's more right-handers on this track than left-handers, and caution comes out for the first time. Might be for that incident.
As for Dawson, all of his damage is to the rear right. Same thing as Rough Rabbit, a spring and
that's probably where they each made contact on each other's car.
Yeah.
So here, first caution of the night. Now, first caution of the night, Vanquish, he cannot get that lap back. So he's still a lap down. But now he's going to be regrouped with the field. So even though he needs to remain one lap down, Vanquish will be regrouped with the field. He's no longer going to try and weave his way through the pack and then pull away a little bit or be behind the pack, still a lap down. So Vanquish, he's probably going to go full speed here for sure. And by my guess, Vanquish could very much be on the lap back on the lead lap and maybe battling inside the top 10 before lap 20. Rabbit was the first car to go into pit road. Try and fix that brake rotor. MVP, after he got that jump initially, as we've seen a lot of guys get that jump, it was really no contest. Reds, he took a while from him to get up to, I believe, where he qualified in the 5th position to get him up to 2nd. So MVP, for the most part, had no contest on the initial start. The real chaos was happening all the way back for around that 10th position, with Panda and others getting together. FME Sports, a driver that we've been talking about. I'm assuming he went into the pit lane, so now he's sitting in 17th position. Definitely not where he wants to be right now, considering that Tomato Drifts, the driver that he needs to try and beat tonight, is all the way sitting in 9th right now. Now, that isn't as big as a points gap as you might think, because remember, for position 6th on back, it's just a 1-point separation between each position. So as of right now, that 8-point gap is turning into a 16-point gap, where they stand right now. Sorry, where they stand right now. So the more FM creeps up, the shorter that gap will be. Right along all the way here with Tomato, as the field comes back to green. Culture really couldn't get going. Middle of the pack. He might have missed a shift. Really made it to her. Panda! Panda, Sly, and even more of a mess behind them on the top of the hill. Right at the top of the hill. That's twice now off a restart. Guys off the top of the hill getting collected together. Oh yeah, even on the restarts, you cannot run full throttle through that uphill in the S's. And right here, if anybody got damaged, this will be another caution. And yes, they are. So caution number 2. Now right away, having this back-to-back yellow, that just makes it to where now Vanquish is allowed to get the lap back. And there he goes. So Vanquish will now be back on the lead lap at the end of here. I would have thought if maybe the race could have gone a little more green, then it would have been more closer to around lap 20 that he would have gotten back on the lead lap if the race had gone green. But now, nope. Lap 10, he's going to get back on the lead lap. So that's twice that we've seen incidents around the 10th position right at the uphill. Panda has dropped to the rear and pulled off. Have no clue if something was going on, where he needed to replace a controller battery or something. So Panda has dropped all the way to the back. We're right up with Smiley, a car that we saw trying to avoid all of that, as it was Sly and Panda who initially got together. Panda, he's pulled right back up to his spot. So, assuming he was given permission. Now, another thing that's interesting for tonight is something that we have done for moderation purposes. Typically, Culture, he's the race director, and when he race directs, he crams as many people as he can into an Xbox party. The maximum amount you can fit in an Xbox party is 16. So then pretty much 17th on back would then be in our Discord channel, would be in our Discord voice channel, and Culture would be in there as well. And that's how Culture would usually be race directing the event. Now we've decided, after Road America, to implement some changes. And now we've gone back to the two-party system. And meaning with the two-party system, you need 2 race directors. The second race director is MVP. So MVP, is this a Forza logo? AK, you getting that too? Okay. And we'll see who ended up leaving. Subsonic. Alright, intervals implemented early. But they're running the two-party system, MVP being in one party, Culture being in another, and they're both in the Discord voice. So that is how communication and everything is being ran for tonight. Back to green we go. Oracle running pretty good. Oh, Dawson! Crazy Fools. FM Esports spinning the exit of turn 2. And no yellows will be called for this. More tight racing into the bus stop. You really can't go too wide. It's a product of this track, trying to force too wide, but you really can't do that. Riding along with Jackson. Currently sitting in the 8th position, right behind Reds and ahead of Culture. Vanquish, he's made his way up to the 11th position and is climbing back his way through the field. Meanwhile, Smiley, JJ Red side by side going into turn 1. Smiley tried to pinch JJ to get a shallower exit. He's going to use that runoff. That would be Smiley after he got a little wide, got into the barrier a little bit. So now, bus stop. Vanquish, he really needed to check up. Smiley getting caught into a little bit of trouble for himself. Vanquish, Smiley side by side. Smiley having a preferred line. Whoa! Cut across Vanquish's nose, and that's going to cost him. Panda, he got locked up with Rough Rabbit. Yeah, very much that was more on Smiley, cut across Vanquish's bumper. Now we have it up front. We have another race going on. RZX Cam trying to chase down Tomato, but also has pressure from Oracle. Whoa, RZX Cam really going wide again. Cam, he's gone wide a couple times. Tomato locking up and spinning in turn 6. Almost got into the gravel trap, and he's going to catch himself before he does. Oracle getting into the wall in the final corner, really trying to push the issue on Cam. Frodo, we know he's a pretty fast driver, currently sitting in the 2nd position. MVP still pulling away, and still right now having no contest in 1st right now. Cam nicked the tire barrier just a little bit, and now that's going to cost him 3, 4, potentially 5 positions. We will see. Very lucky, no damage from that. He had a tiny bit of transmission. I don't know if that was a spectator glitch that just went away. But he's very lucky that that little nick didn't give him any cosmetic brake or spring damage. So now he falls back to 6. Vanquish now into the top 5 with Reds in 4th and Oracle in 3rd. And Reds, Vanquish powering through each other. Jackson to the inside of Cam. Cam, after making that mistake, he's been dropping. Cam, he's definitely not giving up on that position, but Cam is another driver who's practically sitting dead last out of the 9 drivers. So Cam, if he wants to have anything to keep his championship hopes alive, then he would very much need to finish top 5, top 3 this race and win Homestead. I saw that, him going over the curve there, but he's not going to be able to make a championship run making mistakes like that. What happened here? MVP has lost the lead to Frodo, while at the same time they're dealing with a lap car and Raised Peasant. Leave them each side by side. Caution has come out. And Frodo is pulled all the way turn 1. Don't quite know what was happening with Frodo. Okay, so that will place Frodo back to second, because MVP did indeed beat him to the line. And I think this is a basic paint scheme that Frodo had, because I do not see the windshield banner or the XRS logo. So that car is technically not paint approved. Yep, MVP, Frodo, Vanquish, Oracle elects to stay out. Yeah, a lot of takers. The only people who stayed out, Oracle, JJ, Rough Rabbit, Smiley, Sly, I believe. Tomato Drifts. Yeah, so a lot of takers to pit road that time. Now, should be interesting with these guys up front. Rough Rabbit didn't have quite that good of a qualifying. Smiley, he's up here trying to run well for another driver, as he's the substitute driver. Subsonic, the only DNF of the race. It showed that he was pulled into pit road. Sorry. Excuse me. Alright, 24, so 4-lap interval. Once again, we're going to ride along. We're going to ride along with the first driver that came out of the pit lane, being Frodo and MVP that row. See how the fresh tires line up against the old tires. Oh, there's a... A lot of drivers got into that wall, but they held it. Here they come into the bus stop. Oracle leads them. Reds in second. Rough Rabbit looked like he gained just a little bit. Frodo trying to make up some ground. MVP, he lost a little bit off this restart. Currently sitting in 7th. Vanquish moves his way past Tomato. Vanquish currently trying to battle his way into the top 5. Went all the way back to Culture here in 11th place. He was one of the drivers who got caught up into turn 1. Panda and someone else were side by side here. I believe that was Jackson. Jackson, he was fairly fast in qualifying. Now him and Panda running side by side here in turn 6. Now, one thing I wanted guys to notice here, notice how Panda, right before turn 7, was right with Jackson. Now he's getting passed by Crazy. And it's not because he's been slow in the corners. He's been running the corners properly. It's because you can hear it in his shifting. Panda is very much running manual shifting and not manual with clutch. In almost any GT Racing Reborn car, you pretty much need to be running manual with clutch, and we're seeing how much it's hurting Panda here. Not really able to go with any contest with anybody running manual with clutch once under acceleration on a straightaway. Now he's going to pit road. Got very loose trying to get to pit road, but for the most part, if you want to try and run fast, Watkins pit road is actually a little bit more tricky to get into than you think. Let's go up front. Vanquish has made his way up to 2nd position. Vanquish right here. He was right on the bumper of Reds. And he very much could try to pass him here. But he's either more liking the racing and trying to put himself at a disadvantage just to try and stay behind. And I think that's more the case here. Well, all of them got really close to that wall. Oh, an MVP is... Nope. Vanquish backs out of it. Meanwhile, MVP going hard into the brakes in turn one. They're going to overshoot. Vanquish is going to have the bottom. There they go. They're really tight there at the top of the S's. I believe there's more Vanquish just trying to have some good fun, but at least it's having more fun here on stream. I believe someone else went wide behind them. Couldn't tell who that quite was. Could have been Rough Rabbit. Ray's Peasant has DNF'd from the race. So now the fight for the lead has tamed itself down a little bit with them making big contact with each other. Reds pulled away just a little bit, but now Vanquish obviously running him back down to potentially stir up another battle. The bus stop, all three of these guys running fairly smooth. Reds, he did go a little wider than Vanquish in the carousel. Vanquish obviously going to take advantage of that. MVP running pretty wide. A little bit of door slamming from them three, wide for the race lead in the final corner. Back to single file in turn one. MVP, he tried to get hard on the brakes again, but now Vanquish in first. It's his race. Oh, MVP got into the wall a little bit. Let's see, will Vanquish make it a race, or is he going to more pull ahead? Now Reds and MVP not necessarily side by side or as close with each other as they were before. Oh. Didn't go that far, sorry. I went to Sly instead of Smiley. There they go, through the carousel. Jackson really trying to get under Smiley there. Not quite holding it up. Oracle into pit road. Remember, he was one of the drivers who stayed out when majority of the field went in. And whoa, Smiley Jackson! Smiley, in order to try and not to hit that wall, needed to get out of the gas entirely. But now side by side into the bus stop, this usually doesn't work. Definitely a more wiser decision to back out of that, because too wide in the bus stop, that doesn't work. Somebody's going to end up in the tire. I think that's more 99.7% luck being able to run side by side. At 50 miles an hour, I'm sure, yeah, 50 miles an hour, you can take it side by side. Smiley a little rough on the top of the hill exit. Ran Jackson out of room and a little bit of a door slam going into the bus stop. Jackson backs out of it again. But but Jackson got a better exit on the bus stop, but almost too much of a better exit because he was right to the back bumper of Smiley when he didn't need to be there. A little bit of timing, a little bit of patience. JDMX Hawk running in the current 9th position, trying to make a run on Jackson. The 2 times that Jackson has gotten up to Smiley, and Smiley has been able to out-defend him. That's allowed Hawk to kind of catch these two. Right there at the top of the hill, Jackson's really able to run the top of the hill well, and he pulls away from Hawk just a little bit. The bus stop, though, looking like he's running a little better than Smiley there. Definitely a little bit more patience needed, and the timing. Timing is key as he tries to go for a dive bomb here in turn 1. Smiley kind of cuts him off just a little bit. Meanwhile, Hawk is right there if anything happens amongst these front 2. Or the 2 in front of him, I should say, for 7th, 8th. Smiley goes wide, Jackson goes through, Smiley loses 2 spots. Right as you were trying to praise Smiley for being substitute, push him well. Let me see something here. Because I just heard that you are not being heard on StreamMaker. Yeah, that's true. Yes, I cannot hear you. I don't think I do hear you. Hold up. Now I need to try and fix this. So, AK, try leaving and joining back. Thanks for pointing out the technical error there, Dirty Mike Racing.
Mike Jeff wants to
Okay, I think I barely heard you that time.
Turn me up.
Well, you should have already had the same setting as last time.
Well, I don't know what's going on. Okay.
Here, let's turn you up even more. Okay. Talk as if a wreck was happening.
Hold on. Let me find something interesting on track.
Oh my God.
I need to spark my imagination. Okay. And we'll do it while Cam's coming into turn number 1. Cam missed the braking zone into turn number 1, and he's into the tire wall outside of it.
Alright, well, I mean, that sounds as good as it's gonna get. Yeah, that's good.
I can't wait for it to fix itself and I just blow up the eardrums of everyone watching.
No, I don't think you did. It's loud and clear now, but...
Aww.
No, you might blow out my eardrum still, because a lot of people don't get this, and Cam actually does miss the carousel. Oh my God!
Man, I'm just predicting the future.
Cam went a little wide. He's gonna lose a spot to slide now.
I'm gonna need a list of people I need to apologize to after this commentator curse. It's gonna be a long
we're trying
list.
to fix the technical error. No, because here's what people don't realize who watch the streams. Okay. And to the 11 people watching, 12 people now watching, AK or whoever is with me, they are a lot louder in my ear than the stream's ear. So, for me to try and get AK to match my volume on the stream, I would need a new set of ears by the end of every race. So, I'm trying to have AK be as loud as he can be for my ear's sake. Because AK is a lot louder in my ear than what's on stream.
You sure? You sure you don't want to try even louder?
No, I like hearing. Okay? I like the sound of a V8 engine, okay? That's enough to try and keep my hearing. Thank you very much.
Well, on track, Kim has retaken that position that he lost by going wide, or maybe he hasn't. He has now, as he's cleared Sly for that 5th position. But Sly will again come on the inside and tries to get a better run off the last corner, but just can't quite get it. As Kim is able to block him in time as they head into turn number 1.
Sly actually is tied with MVP right now for that points lead. I believe they're both at 2096 in the standings. So Sly, he's very much just needs to have a pretty decent run tonight, and he should be safe overall to make the championship 4. And really, just an impressive run here late, now that we're talking about Sly, from Uber Motorsports as a whole. Of course he did. Cam clipped the tire wall on the bus stop, and whoa!
In the worst spot. Oh my God.
Oh my God! When a driver goes around there, you definitely.
Caution is out for Cam.
This is a message for RZX Cam. First time was commentator's curse, but that time was you.
Yeah, no, I'm not taking fault for that one. That's not me. I'll take fault for the first one.
I believe Vanquish was already crossed the line for when that happened, so now we were pretty much going around another time before everybody slows down for the yellow. Vanquish has pulled ahead as expected in a pretty marginal sized lead. Yeah, a little over 2 seconds he's pulled away from MVP. MVP running fairly fast tonight. MVP running fairly fast tonight considering the other guys in the field like Frodo, JJ. I was about to say Europa, but he's not here. Look, Europa, he was in the practice lobby, but he was in the practice lobby. I don't know if he qualified or not. Now, caution. Here on lap 39.
As Hawk might get something here because he did pit after caution was called. I don't know if they'll give him something or not. And he will be sent to the tail end of the line off the restart. So wasn't 14, so he shouldn't lose too much, hopefully. But I mean, obviously rules are rules, so can't pit once it's called.
Yes, not when correct. That's really important wording here, because pit road is closed when caution is called. Now, what that means, it's the second the race director points it out and says caution is caution. Second the race director says caution and it's out, then when caution is called, pit road is closed. It is only open for those who have gotten damage from the wreck. So unless Hawk was somebody who got damaged, but obviously it seems like that he was not, as what the heck just happened on the stream with Sly the Uberman? Okay.
Welcome to Forza.
No, I just saw Sly's left rear just go to the sky.
Thing. Sorry to interrupt you. Tomato has lagged out.
Oh!
I just looked up at the scoreboard.
That is big for the point standings.
If FM finishes better than 10th, he gains points on Tomato.
Right there. Tomato will be scored in 18th position. Oh, Sly pointing it out on the stream. Lag spike. Okay, thank you, Sly. Thank you, Sly, for clarifying. I had really big concern because nobody's left rear tires should just spike to the sky because they want to be the size of Godzilla.
Are you sure?
And would you want to?
Are you positive?
Would you want that?
That's one heck of a donk car.
A lot of takers to pit road, and this is where we expect Forza to glitch. Yep.
Don't mind Vanquish just monster trucking over a couple cars. It's okay.
Yeah, don't mind any of that.
Yeah, big playoff implications if Tomato is out. Like we said, he is that fourth driver, and now this opens up that fourth spot to a lot of cars.
So now, most definitely, FM, obviously, he's that fifth car, so he's the first person we talk about. But Smiley, he is the substitute for Smokey, who's sitting in sixth. So a good points gain, now guaranteed a solid points gain, as FM was 8 points behind. And like you said, AK, he just needs to finish 10th or better. And he's pretty much with Tomato, finishing 10th or better. But even then, an 8-point gap, let's say it's FM has a drastically hypothetical, commentator's curse, don't you kick in. But FM, he finishes 17th. Okay, let's say he finishes 17th and he only gets a 1-point gain on Tomato. That's a 7-point gap. But it's Homestead next week. Both of them are more on equal playing ground at my end. FM, he got fast enough to a point to where he could contest for a win at my end.
Of course, this is also to say that Smokey needs another substitute driver for next week. Smokey could come back next week, or it could still be Smiley. It really depends on a couple personal things for Smokey, of course. But
it also depends on, but also AK, that also depends on if we allow a substitution for a second week. For the most part, we have only approved this substitution for this week. Next week, we are fully expecting Smokey to come back. And actually, before you say more, Tomato, he's typed in chat saying that was having shifter issues, so I just decided to leave the race. So I'm assuming that means he was on a wheel and his shifter was bugging. Who was that just went off in turn 6?
I believe JJ, by the looks of who's coming back on.
That was JJ Reds. Okay. JJ, I don't like your distractions. Okay. Okay, bud. Back to green.
I don't like what you're doing there. Cut it out. Cut it out.
Top 6, 7, all the way going through turn 1 fairly cleanly. A lot of drivers just trying to make up some ground. Frodo right on the back bumper of RZX JJ Reds. Looks like everybody got through the top of the hill okay. Here they come into the bus stop. MVP looked on Oracle. Wasn't able to do much there.
Oh,
Frodo really JJ on the bumper.
Frodo.
And whoa!
Cars going around in the background.
Did not quite catch that. Still riding with Frodo. He lost the position to both Jackson and Cam.
I believe
now,
it was
able
Dawson.
To get around Cam.
I believe it was Dawson that might have went around or went very wide through the bus stop.
Vanquish Rough Rabbit side by side for the lead. Meanwhile, also side by side behind them, Oracle and MVP. Whoa, Rough Rabbit breaks way later.
If you remember Rough Rabbit was actually somebody who joined last second, so he's come into this race without practice, and he's made it all the way up to the second position as they hit that wall.
Again, yeah, that was Oracle too. He got into that wall.
Yeah, it seems like these cars are definitely able to take a lot more punishment around this track than the NASCAR was, because I know if you hit it like that a couple of times, you're definitely going to have at least some spring damage or brake damage. As MVP's going to look on the inside through the carousel of Rough Rabbit for that second spot.
Oracle might try to follow as well. Not quite able to get there though. Here in turn 6, 7, two very momentum-based corners. Vanquish still driving away with the race and the lead. JJ Reds currently sitting in 5th, trying to also put pressure on Oracle.
Yeah, again, couple guys here who are playoff guys, they need these points or want these points so that they can give themselves a bigger buffer or bigger advantage to people in front of them and behind them.
Rough Rabbit, he's sitting 3rd in the standings right now because Sly, his teammate and MVP, they're tied for the points lead at 2096. So him sitting at 3rd and him running 3rd at the moment, really making it to where Rough Rabbit is more securing his spot in the championship for it. With Tomato leaving, now that 4th spot is really up for grabs at Miami.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, unless Sly also like that, I'm pretty sure that would almost pretty much guarantee he can make it in some form wherever he may land into that final 4 with Tomato leaving.
Jackson and another car behind going off really wide again. That was RZX Cam Cam, he's consistently running wide, and I mean really wide, clipping the grass at the exit of the carousel. We do allow that runoff, but I don't know if that's necessary needing to go that wide.
I mean, I'm sure he's not intending to go all the way to the grass. The grass is just going to slow you down as somebody clipped the grass on the front straight. I believe that would be Frodo or Oracle who had done that on the front straight, but obviously it slows you down, so I think he's just trying to get as much speed as Frodo is into the wall inside of turn number 2 off bumper of JJ Reds. Joe didn't see what happened. I just seen JJ getting turned, or Frodo being turned by JJ. He's not. I don't think he's gonna get the caution because I'm pretty sure we're still in caution intervals.
Well, what lap did we go back to green?
I want to say 3 laps ago, or something like that. But Frodo with a lot of damage, transmission, driveline. That back left is all sort of messed up. Spring, brake, all of it.
Sorry, had a couple Discord distractions. Reds Jackson. Car that we've been riding along with.
I'm hearing that Hawk may have wrecked coming into the pit lane. He might have hit the pit wall, but he's still going.
Well, we'll go see. Right now, he's in 15th. And what? Okay, so he went. Yeah, he went into pit lane.
Cautions are now on.
So FM, he went from just being inside the top 10 to a little bit outside of it, sitting in 12th. But he has cars for position directly in front of him.
Yeah, he's sort of probably the biggest group on track right now. There's a lot of position to be gained here if he can play his cards right. As there are a couple of drivers, like you said, that can pass. That's Crazy Fool, that's Panda.
But also, same way, 2 positions that he can lose behind him with Shady Phonic and Culture. Shady Phonic looked like he wanted to try and make a move, couldn't quite get to that corner.
Yeah, it looked like he definitely thought about it.
Frodo
Maybe didn't want to quite do it.
What was going on with Frodo? He is now pulled off at the runoff in turn 1. Originally, he was sitting at the exit of pit lane.
Yeah, I believe he's parking it for night. Don't quote me. He's at least parking it for the time being, because I definitely heard race control give him the okay to do so. You're not parking.
I'm assuming.
Park off track is what I heard.
Whoa! FM went really wide, clipped the grass at the exit of the runoff and carousel.
Panda trying to pressure Smiley for that 9th spot. But it looks like Smiley got the better exit off that final corner.
So far, Smiley having himself a good run in place of Smokey, just inside that top 10.
Right now, who he's looking to be ahead of is FM. He needs to be ahead of FM if he wants to take that 4th spot over FM. Obviously, he has a lot more points before he can do that, and as he goes wide through the last corner of the bus stop. But any
yeah, because the separation. It's 8 points between Tomato and FM, but it's also another 8 points between FM and Smokey.
Yeah, really, as many points as he can get here to help Smokey get towards Tomato is going to help him a lot, especially coming to Homestead, which both FM and Smokey are very good at, which is where they've both gotten their only career wins in XRS.
FM won at Daytona.
He did win at Daytona, okay? Listen, when I left my notes, I realized that only Smokey had gotten his Homestead win at Homestead.
Yeah, only Smokey won Homestead. FM won at Daytona.
Listen. You know, what I think makes me up is you saying he's been very good in battling for wins at Homestead.
Also this season very good, especially qualifying wise at Homestead. And it's very tricky because for Homestead, you really just want to hit that second position. Don't really quite want to get the first place spot. Whoa, Smiley Panda roughing it up just a little bit. Smiley probably going to lose another spot to Crazy.
Smiley really sent it in there to try and get that spot. You can tell he's definitely driving as if he were the person fighting for that final four. So he's definitely trying to give it his all for Smokey tonight.
Yeah, in terms of cars battling for position, this stretch of 9th all the way back to 14th, excuse me, I'm sorry, is the only stretch of cars that are really close to each other on track. There's another cluster ahead of them, but it's kind of mixed. You have 3rd and 4th kind of separated. Whoa, there's a guy in the tire wall, and that is Jackson. Caught that on the track map. A car stopped abruptly in the bus stop. You almost already know that immediately means that they got into that tire wall. Caution. And a caution called.
I believe there should be a caution just by hearing race control. If so, this would be the last one, obviously.
Well, Vanquish had just passed the line and is still running full speed. Dependent on if we had hit the cutoff or not.
I didn't hear race control call out cutoff, but I don't quite know.
And yes, there is a DNF from Frodo, whom he had pulled off. So now the worst anybody can finish is 16th. So FM, no matter what, even if he finishes dead last, he's then going to be 6 points behind Tomato heading into Miami. Which hey, there could be a lot of points for grabs, because if FM contests for the win, there's 5 points separating 1st and 2nd.
Yeah. And with it being such a good race, as it doesn't look like there will be a caution, so must have heard race control wrong, so that's my fault on that part. But with Homestead being such a good race for both Smokey and FM, I think it could be boiling down to maybe only a point or two between who's going to make it into that final four and who doesn't.
Only cars that are towards the front and battling really close with each other, Rough Rabbit and Oracle, currently sitting 3rd, 4th. They're going to be battling for a podium, as obviously we do not expect MVP to get up to Vanquish.
So a lot of battling through that sort of 8th through the 12th place, or 14th place. There's a lot of battling going on through there. It's sort of spread out a little bit now, but there's still a good battle. 12th all the way to 10th, I believe. Or sorry, it's 10th. Smiley actually got very loose coming to the carousel, and he's going to lose, I think, 2 spots to Crazy Fool and Shady for it.
Heading all the way back, and yes, Smiley has dropped to that 12th position. And now Smiley and FM will be right next to each other in 12th and 13th. So no matter what, both of those guys are going to get a good gain on Tomato Drifts with him leaving the race. But now for Miami, that's going to be a tough spot for all 3 of them, considering, well, in Smiley's case, Smokey. So for Smokey, FM, and Tomato. So definitely, Might need to bring out the calculator to see where everybody is going to finish and go as they run. Because points could be ever so close.
I predict that at least 2 of those guys will be no more than 1 or 2 points by the end of the Homestead race apart from each other. I think, again, we'll see another season with another very close cutoff line between that 4th and 5th playoff driver.
And we will find that out next week. Another thing that we're going to see and find out next week, not sure if the season will be streamed or not, but it is the XRS NASCAR Euro Series. Testing was held this weekend for the Euro Series. We were testing at Mugello.
Oh, there's a car around.
Jackson around!
That's Jackson, yeah. I didn't see what started that, but he almost got clipped by a couple cars that were coming through like crazy and shady. They came very close to hitting him.
Whoa.
If I see it and you see it, then something's
Assuming
gone wrong.
that was Jackson.
I think it was
Yep.
Jackson, yeah.
So Jackson, DNF. So now, once again, even more positions. It looks like everybody's going to gain on each other, and more importantly, the 2 playoff drivers on Tomato. Now, right along here with the leader, Vanquish, as he makes his way through the S's on the final lap of the race.
Yeah, again, another good drive for him. He did see a lot of competition in that first sort of quarter of that race, first half of that race, when he was genuinely racing by from what I was seeing and what I was hearing. It didn't sound like he was letting off at all on his throttle, so a couple guys were able to keep up with him through these early portions of the race, but I think once he got warmed up and once he got re-familiar to racing around of the other cars, he was really able to get things going and really move.
And Hawk, Vanquish, making a little contact with each other. No point. It's the final lap. Now off the final corner, Vanquish is going to win here at Watkins Glen. MVP will finish in 2nd, and Rough Rabbit looking like he will edge out Oracle for the 3rd position.
He's going to try and gain another point, though. He's right on the bumper of Shady with only 2 corners to go. What will he do?
Right along with him. Final corner. Not quite putting the bumper to him. He holds on for himself. Smiley in substitution for Smokey will get 11th, and then FM will finish in that 12th spot.
If he would have done it, it would have reminded me of Coulter last year. You remember, I think it was 1 or 2 races before the cutoff, he sent it in last corner and got, I believe, 2 spots out of it because of how close some of the drivers were.
Now, there we go. Very impressive run from Vanquish here. As we have expected, based off of Sorry about that. All right, let's try to get the top 3 in here. If I can find them on my friends list. There we go.
Not a part of his friends list, can't be interviewed.
No, it's called when people are then offline versus online, and then back online again. It's hard to find people. Because I believe, both Vanquish and MVP are hiding offline. There we go.
No, Atherton.
Okay.
Right, once the top 3 get in here, we will do a mic check. So make sure you guys have checked off the audio box. So that everybody is connected, ready to go.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Oh.
Hopefully my stuff's working.
I believe I heard everybody. I definitely heard Rabbit and MVP. Just
I
in
don't think
case
you've
I'll
heard
turn
Vanquish.
Just in case I'll turn Vanquish up just a tiny bit.
There you go. See if you hear me scream.
We couldn't because your mic peaked.
No.
Okay, so should be good here now. All right. Sure, all of you have finished on podium and been here before, so obviously you know the drill. AK, take it away with Rabbit and MVP.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, we'll start with third place, who was Rough Rabbit. Again, one of the 2 Uber Motorsports drivers to be in the playoff. I believe you 2 are the only 2 Uber Motorsports drivers to be in the playoff. So, obviously, you were in third in the standings coming into this race. Another strong finish here as we move on to Homestead next week. What do you think your chances are to make that final 4?
That is a good question. With the strength of the playoffs looking, I think I have a good shot to make it in the final 4. It's gonna be keeping the nose down and just hoping and praying that everything works out in my favor. I mean, I got collected up in some early incidents, and I had fortune favor my boldness here, especially with having Oracle help out with giving me numbers. And other than that, I mean, yeah, I hope that things go well in my favor.
Obviously, I know, like we said before, strong finish here tonight. Exactly what you needed, obviously, for the playoffs. So how would you do it here tonight? Like you said, you were involved in some wrecks early on. So how did you keep your head down and able to keep a third place and a podium in this race here tonight?
I'm gonna be completely honest. I have no idea. With the help with Oracle that I had received from him, other than that, I mean, that's really what kept it there. I had no practice going in. I was literally taking a nap not even 15 minutes prior to the race, so I had nothing going for tonight. I kind of just rolled the dice and hoped and prayed, and I mean, I was semi-consistent. So I mean, take that as what you will. Yeah, that's really it.
Yeah, like you said, and like I said during the broadcast, actually, is that you came in here dead last not dead last, with no practice because obviously, like you said, you didn't show up for it. So I think this question would best suit you since you had to learn on the fly with this car and with this course. What do you think the keys to tonight's race were track-wise?
Following the car in front of you and learning their line, if they were at least in the top 7, because everybody was keeping a semi-consistent line, especially through the bus stop and the carousel. I realized I was gaining time through the S's. I was very consistent through there. And honestly, I mean, older tires fared a bit better than newer tires because you just had a little bit more grip. But once they aged on, it's just newer tires were the key of the game at that point. So yeah, you just had to be consistent in the latter half of the course.
Well, congratulations on the podium here tonight. Obviously, I'm sure that will help you point-wise. And of course, good luck coming into that next week's race, which is obviously a cutoff race into the final four.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Now moving on to one of the two rivals Rough Rabbit has to face. That's MVP in second place here tonight, who is currently tied for that points lead in the playoffs. So I'm going to ask you, but I'm sure I know your answer already. How do you feel after tonight's race coming into Homestead?
Sorry, what? I literally zoned out.
My God! My God!
Oh my
I'm on
God,
that
I set that up
right now.
perfectly too. I transitioned that perfecly. How dare you? It's so
I am
good.
watching SummerSlam. I am zoned in on this match. Leave me alone.
Well, after this race, I'm pretty sure I know what your answer is going to be. But how do you feel coming into Homestead after your finish here tonight?
I feel good. I hope I can try to get the winning result at Homestead that I was looking for last time we were there, but
But JJ.
yeah, yeah, we don't bring that up.
Oh, we don't talk about Bruno? Okay, I got you.
We don't talk about Bruno. But it was a great race. I tried to keep up. We all know that's very hard to do with the guy that we all are used to seeing win. But I don't know. We couldn't even get a decent run in to try to keep Vanquish back long enough. So that was fantastic.
Well, obviously, your closest points competitor, who you were tied with coming in this race, was Sly, and you finished ahead of him. But still, Sly not having a too bad finish himself at that 7th place. So it's looking like you two could be the first two in, as long as you guys don't have a horrible race at Homestead. So, who are you thinking right now could be your biggest competitors coming into that race?
Into Homestead or Indy?
Preferably Indy and then Homestead. How about that?
Well, the guy that's got a win at Indy, and that's the guy you didn't even say, but he finished third, Rough Rabbit. But because it's like a Daytona mentality, it's basically luck. So my chances of winning is a toss-up. But we'll see. I'll just stay focused for next week, and then we'll see how next week goes going into Indy the following week.
And of course, obviously, with you being that second place driver, as I always ask, what do you think were the keys to tonight's race?
Consistency and just knowing the track. Like, pretty sure everyone other than Vanquish here saw the difference I had from me to the rest of the field, and then you obviously have Vanquish who likes to take it a step further. So, but I don't know. Lap times, obviously, he wasn't taking the bus stop as aggressive as I was. That's the only reason why I was maintaining anything I had. But I don't know. It's Watkins Glen. There's nothing wrong when you race at Watkins Glen because it's a fan favorite for everyone.
Well, congratulations on the second place tonight, and good luck into Homestead, and not only the Homestead, but obviously the championship as well.
Thank you.
And now we move on to you with race winner Vanquish.
Not a surprise. So, Vanquish, I know me and you had talked, this was in a separate conversation, that we knew the penalty was almost going to do nothing, and very much it wasn't going to affect you that much. But, how was your, I don't know how to word this here, I'm sorry, but your racecraft and how you would want to go about the race, that first couple of laps versus there right when you were battling midway through the race, and then like the last chunk of the race that you just you were you you blew everybody out of the water, because I almost thought I saw 3 different versions of you this race.
I was pretty poor with racecraft, but I got into quite a bit of people on the restarts. I mean, I personally don't like running off like that, but it's fine. It was kind of weird because I had to keep telling myself to run off the track basically, but yeah, it was pretty clean. A lot of wrecks, which helped me. I kind of figured it would be because the bus stop, this car doesn't turn that well on the uphill. Yeah, pretty good. It's a typical race. MVP starts up front, checks out, caution, to catch up, get beside him, he misses a turn, I pass him, and then stay where I was.
Now, each one of your guys' best lap being fairly close to each other. You ran a 106.663, and then MVP ran a 106.689. So fairly close, but still, obviously, you had the upper hand. No real competition there. You being able to battle your way up to the front, was it kind of different from a normal race if you were just starting on the lead lap right away?
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, I didn't like that I had to start from the back, even though because it was kind of rule breaking for me not to get my lap back under caution. Then I got penalized for not being able to get my lap back on caution. I had to start in the back. I know it messes up the field, but I don't know. It's kind of weird, but I essentially came from the back 4 times, but it's fine. I had to push a little bit harder at the beginning and then chill out. Wait for MVP to make mistakes.
All right, so I would say overall, definitely saw that you were more waiting for those yellows to come into play. And like as you said, kind of a nature of how this car is in comparison to the Cup car, because a few things, especially there on the uphill, we're seeing a lot of people getting into that left-right right at the end, getting into that wall. And like you said, the car is very understeery. What were the key differences between this Mercury Cougar and a Cup car racing through there?
You had to shift early. Purposely go slower, like without hitting the brakes or letting off. So you just shift early to make yourself go slower up the hill. But that's pretty much all I did. I hit the wall quite a few times though. It was just hard because it was like if you didn't turn it at the right time, you didn't make it pretty much. But
oh yeah, we were seeing that pretty much out of most of the field. But hey, good. Kudos to you, being able to still come out with a win after starting with a slight disadvantage. So yeah, good on the win for you. This is now what, back-to-back that you have gone?
3. Yeah. 3 back-to-back.
In your starts, because I don't believe you you weren't in the Daytona race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 every race. Yeah.
Yeah, but good on you, and we'll see if you make a start next week and maybe the championship. But yeah, good to you on wherever you do.
Thank you.
That will wrap up the interviews here. Hey, that will wrap up the interviews for post-race. AK here, Watkins Glen. We're seeing a quite key bit of differences between the Cougar and the Cup car. A lot of tracks we overall see the racing turn out to be a little similar to a Cup car, but here, where a lot of people know this track fairly well and the racing that it produces, we definitely saw the key differences.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially through that first S uphill. I think that was where we got the biggest. Is obviously drivers weren't expecting the understeer through that section nearly as much as we would see in the Cup car, where you could basically take that flat out. You didn't have to lift. You just had to sort of get your line right. Here, it didn't matter if you got your line right at all. You had to lift just a little bit just to make sure that you could get through that corner without hitting that wall. Another difference is these cars' durability. We've seen those guys smack that outside wall through the same S's about, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 times each. So these cars are definitely a little more durable through that section than the Cup cars, because with the Cup cars, I believe we would have had at least a little bit of damage, whether that be to the spring or the brake or just the driveline. We would have had a little bit of damage to something. So it's definitely a little bit of a game changer for these cars, and it makes for some different racing. So I think that's why early on we've seen this driver struggle a little bit, but as the time went on, they got right into the rhythm of it, and they eventually could figure it out.
And the differences in natures of all the cars definitely showed out tonight. And also shows up the point standings a little bit. Tomato, him making that decision to leave after having some shifter problems, has made it to where FM and Smiley in substitution for Smokey has definitely made up a little bit of a gap, and has made it to where the separation, not really 8 points between them now, going into Miami for the cutoff race in the playoffs to determine who will be the championship for. It's looking like right now that it's really only at 4th spot up for grabs unless something really, really bad turns out in the end, and we're hoping nothing of that nature happens. So, AK, what could we expect to go into Miami and having Miami be yet again another cutoff race and not the finale?
I think what you'll see is a very close point standings by the end of that race between those 3 drivers you had just listed, that being obviously Tomato, that being Smokey, and that being FM. Those 3 will definitely be the ones to watch for that race points-wise, because those are the only 3 positions that could change most likely into those into the playoffs and not into the playoffs. So it's going to be a very close race. I expect it just to be maybe a 1 or 2 point difference between who makes it and who doesn't. Between those 3, we know it's a very strong track for Smokey. We know it's a very strong track for FM. We know it's a very strong track for Tomato. But probably more so stronger for the 2 cars on the outside looking in. So it's going to be probably the best race setup that FM and Smokey could ask for their position. As it's probably their strongest track between the 2 drivers. So I think it's definitely one to watch next week, as it's going to decide a lot of who's going to be able to contend for that championship in XRS.
Now, I see RZX Cam talking. He initially wanted to join the party. No. And him saying, is he out? Not necessarily. RZX Cam, he was sitting dead last, but he did actually get a good finish out for him tonight. I believe he finished 5th. So him getting a solid finish tonight, that could make it to where if drastic changes happen, that could definitely switch up other guys who are outside looking in. Reason why we were referring to those 3 drivers, Cam, if that is your concern, it's because those are just the 3 people at the cut line. So that's why we were talking about those drivers, since the points are going to be closest amongst those 3. Now, in terms of the mathematics of it, I'm not going to do all that math on the fly to try and tell you the exact point gain and losses of everybody. So yes, should be a fairly interesting race that we're going to see. Thank you, everybody who tuned into the race, chatted. I see Sly in the post-race. He went off like crazy. A couple others... Dirty Mike Racing, he was the one who pointed out a couple things. Rough Rabbit was in here. Bouncin' 69, I don't know who that is, but thank you for being in here, chatting up. So thank you to all who tuned in, and AK, thank you for joining here in the booth with me this week. And that will wrap up tonight's race and broadcast here at Watkins Glen. We will move on next week for the cutoff race in the playoffs, being Homestead Miami Speedway, and we will catch you all there next weekend. Have a good night.